Hello, Nikki.
Hi, Jen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so glad that we're able to do this whenever we can't get together.
Me too, for sure.
And I was thinking something that God told you um, the other day. I mean, we've made a couple of videos now.
Yes.
We've been setting the stage, the
Yeah.
foundation. But what did he say to you?
He said it's time to get to the meat. Let's dig in and uh, start talking about the stuff that we're here for and in detail.
The reason
Um,
we're here.
yeah.
Because yes, I mean, we've been setting the foundation and it's important, but at the same time, we got brought together because something was laid on both of our hearts. We
Yeah.
saw such a need and it is why we're even talking, why we're even doing, these videos.
Yeah.
And what I love too about God is what he does between with you and I. He will give part of it to one of us. And the other part, one of us will
Right.
say, I feel this hitting my spirit and I'm not really sure. And then the other one's like, oh my gosh,
He
blah,
told me
blah,
this.
blah.
Yeah, I know. And it always matches and comes together.
Always.
Always.
And that is not us.
No, that's confirmation that he wants us to do this.
It is.
That's how we feel.
And what happened in this case is he told you it was time for the meet. And what hit me right after that was the relationships that we've been in.
Yeah.
Um, that got us off track. I'm not blaming the people
No.
because if I wouldn't have allowed myself to be where I was in life, you know, making choices, I
Yeah.
wouldn't have, if I met those same people today, I
It would
wouldn't
be totally
even
different.
give them. I mean, I
A
care
second
about
look.
them. Exactly. Care
Hmm.
about them as people. I care about all people's souls, but
Yes.
I would not even entertain a relationship with any of those people,
Right.
even before knowing them,
Yeah.
just because they're, we weren't in the same, well, the problem is we were in the same place when we met,
Yeah.
but now
Broken.
broken and brokenness attracts the same brokenness, right?
Yes, it does. And I think that's why we kind of started with what we did in our other videos is to say that we were broken in so many different areas
So
of our
many.
lives,
When
which
you
made us
were broken, did you know you were broken?
no, no, I had no idea.
I didn't
I
either.
thought I'm fine. I'm great. I'm going through life. Everything's, I mean,
Um,
bad things happen, but it
yeah.
wasn't,
And
I felt I
going
was great.
exactly, going by the world's standards,
Yeah,
you might be married or you have a boyfriend, you've got a job, you've got a house, you've got a
yeah,
car, you've got
kids.
kids.
Hmm.
So everything's great, even if
Yeah,
things aren't great all the time.
right. But deep in my heart and my spirit, I knew I was missing something.
Mm-hmm.
I think I knew that my whole life, and I was always trying to figure out something to fill that,
Mm-hmm.
for a lack of a better word, void. There was something I was missing. Um, I felt like I wasn't worthy. I had some weird thought process in my brain that said I was unlovable. So I was grateful to have any love that I got, regardless of if it was a healthy love or not,
You were just
because
glad
there,
someone loved you
yeah,
when you
at
thought
least,
you
at
weren't
least
gonna
I,
have.
I thought they loved me,
Yeah.
but it really wasn't love.
Yeah. So Jen and I, and another thing that I like about this is are different. We come from different backgrounds. We grew up in different states, even,
Yes.
but, and even though our journeys look completely different, there's such a similarity to them.
Right. Because in all honesty, it's a playbook of the enemy
Hmm.
that he
Uh,
uses on us as women, and he uses it on men also. So you put
Absolutely.
those two together and it's toxic.
Oh my goodness.
But you think you're in love.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're in love.
Oh my gosh. And especially at the beginning,
Yes. Because they're telling you all the things that you want to hear.
all the things you've been waiting to hear.
Your spirit's almost dying for them. You're so thirsty and hungry for it.
Hmm.
You'll take any crumb or morsel.
That's so true. So that kind of speaks to where we are when we meet them. And
Yes.
how I say that if I were to meet one of them right now, it would be completely different because that's not how I feel.
Right. Because we've healed.
Hmm.
It's the brokenness in us that keeps us from recognizing that they're broken and that they're abusive.
Right, right.
There are
Hmm.
abuse is so many different things. Let's talk a little bit about that. Just abuse
Okay.
itself. A lot of we're gonna just talk about Christian women right now.
Okay.
So many Christian women believe that abuse is physical, that as long as he's not hitting me, um, it's not abuse.
Right.
But we've learned there's so many different levels of abuse.
So many. And honestly, any if we want to call them toxic relationships, you know,
Yeah,
um, anything, and so we're talking about abuse, anything that is being done to you, whether it's verbal, emotional, physical, um,
even spiritual. There can be spiritual
spiritual,
abuse. Yeah,
sexual,
sexual. Yes.
financial,
Yes, so many.
anything that's being done to you that causes you to go into sort of a survival mode
Yeah,
where you are focusing more on that person than you are God.
yeah.
And it's
And
taking,
yourself.
and yourself. Yeah.
Hmm.
Taking you away from God because, but you don't think it. I mean, I can remember being in it and thinking, I'm a Christian,
Yeah.
you know, um,
And you're supposed to stay. I mean, we were both married and we're taught that you stay with them no matter what.
no
The
matter
only the
what.
only reason you can leave is if they cheat on you or physically abuse you.
Hmm.
And we've learned that what God that's not God's plan for your life.
No. And I want to be clear too that I'm not saying this. We're not saying this because we're divorced.
No.
I've just seen a lot and realized a lot since I stayed for 20 years
Yeah.
because I thought that's what I was supposed to do,
Right.
because I was a Christian and I knew that I made that covenant before God.
Right. And God hates divorce, which he does.
Absolutely.
But something I learned in counseling was that maybe you weren't supposed to marry them to begin with,
Yeah.
that I was so unhealthy that I picked the wrong man and stayed with them because through the abuse, didn't realize it was abuse.
Okay, I want to touch on that. So we take God out of it when we choose them, when we are in an unhealthy frame of mind. We
Yes.
take him out when we choose them, but
Yeah.
then we put him back in as an excuse
After.
to stay.
Yes. And that's exactly what it is. It's an excuse to stay.
Because we're meeting the need of, I have to have a man, or I don't want to be lonely, or,
Uh,
who else am I going to find to love me?
right. For me, it was, my first husband, that's what he told me is that, I already believed I was unlovable. And
Mhm.
he told me all the time, you're lucky that I love you. So, he confirmed that belief that lie I was believing
Yeah.
to, to get me to stay. And he was abusive. He was abusive verbally. He, he never hit me, but he would punch a hole in the wall next to my head, or he would keep me locked in the bathroom and wouldn't let me out. Um, you
Wow.
know,
Yeah.
things like that, which I didn't think was abuse.
Hmm.
I didn't believe it was abuse until I was in a safe house and the police were there saying, do you want to do something about this? And I'm like, um, maybe I do. you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that was just one tiny little glimpse into that something was wrong in that relationship.
And were you like, oh my gosh, they think something's wrong. Is something wrong?
That exactly. That's when I started questioning. And I even had people in my life, close people, that said, you have to stay because you married him.
Yeah.
And I was so young.
That's a good point too, because I did too.
Hmm.
And those people too, I think, look at the situation and think how it's going to affect them
Hmm.
if we leave,
Yeah.
and so
It
people,
makes them look bad.
it makes them look bad. They know that, and I'm thinking of people listening who also might have a family member or a best friend, you know, a mom or a sister, a dad telling them that you have to stay. And that person might be thinking it makes them look bad, or what financial impact is this going to have on me
Oh my gosh.
if she leaves?
Yes,
Yeah, that's huge.
it
All of
is.
this to say that we weren't going to God. Well, okay, no, I don't want to say that. Because I know that I was, and I'm sure that you were too,
I was, but not in the right way.
not in the right way. Me neither. So I'm talking to these family and friends, and I'm getting their perspective
Hmm.
and thinking God doesn't want me to leave. He hates divorce. He hates divorce. He hates divorce,
No matter what.
no matter what.
Hmm.
And I want to agree. I want to say, I want to get that out there that we are not condoning divorce. We're not saying everybody, no
No,
matter, any little thing, you should run and get a divorce.
no. And I also want to say that this isn't if you're just unhappy.
Mm-mm.
You can be unhappy in a marriage and there's no abuse going on. You can just be bored or
Oh,
you're not putting
absolutely.
effort into it. That's not we are not talking about that at all.
No,
The
not at
pasture being
all.
green on the other side of the fence is not what we are talking about
And it's not.
whatsoever. No, it's not. It's not. Sometimes it's a more toxic relationship on the other side,
Yeah, yeah.
which we can talk about that later.
You just made me think of something though. Shoot. Uh, just a second. I was thinking how you were saying Oh, so while you were saying that, I thought, what was it that made me realize that it wasn't just being unhappy? Because when you say that, we've got people sitting there going, well, that's all that's all it is for me is I'm unhappy, you know? Or they're saying, how do I know the difference? And what I thought to myself about myself when I knew the difference was it wasn't it wasn't a one-time thing.
Yeah.
It also wasn't just a season. It was a cycle,
A roller coaster,
a never-ending
roller
cycle
coaster.
or roller coaster.
Yeah, that's what I call it, is a roller coaster
Yeah.
because it's extreme highs and extreme lows, and
Mm-hmm.
there's not much in between.
Mm-mm.
You're either making them happy and everything's going well, or you're not filling their need and they are punishing you for
Yeah.
not doing what they want you to do. And that can be
It looks
as
all
something as
different ways.
simple as not talking to you.
Yeah.
I know people, and I went through this myself when they were mad at me, they just ignored me,
Stonewalling.
stonewalling.
I am, as we talk and we talk about these things, I am going to name them. I'm going to start naming them, these actions that are similar that toxic people do, so that
Okay. Call
people
them what they
can
are.
call them what they are. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
And I'm talking about the gaslighting, the love bombing, and the stonewalling. So
Yeah.
you want to talk a little bit about each one of those?
Yeah.
Because you
Absolutely.
explain them very well. You do.
Okay. Well, you said gaslighting. And, and I think that some of these terms, because the enemy is so good, one of the things that I've realized that he's done to us in this day and time is take the word toxic, gaslighting, stonewalling. What was the other one you said?
Love bombing.
Love bombing. Oh my gosh. And then later we'll talk about manipulating.
Yeah.
But in this day and time, we've overused those words, right? And so
Yeah.
they become cliche and people are like,
Right.
oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. I was talking to a person one time about narcissists, which are a real thing
Very real.
plaguing our society today.
And there are several different kinds.
Several different kinds, and you
Hmm.
take those different kinds and put them on different personalities, and
Hmm.
they look different.
But the playbook is always the same.
Playbook is always the same. So to answer your question, if you're a toxic person and you're wanting to um, manipulate someone, one of the things that you do, and the reason that you manipulate them is to control them. Okay. One of the things that you do to um, be able to gain that control is gaslighting. And believe it or not, some people still don't know what that means. And I like to use this one example that, okay, let's just say that you come in my front door and I've got this big recliner here. And let's just say that we live here together and you walk in and the recliner is way over here by the bar. And okay, fine, that looks great, whatever. The next day you walk in and the recliner is about 5 feet toward the door, like a noticeable amount.
Hmm.
And you think, did you move the recliner? You think that looks a little bit different, but it's not, sorry.
Technical difficulties.
Oh my
So he
gosh.
doesn't